Yeah, it's Wrestling Uncensored. Tonight on the show, we review Smackdown. Roman Reigns was on. We have Night of Champions next week. AEW Double or Nothing next week as well. And CM Punk causing controversies again. Yes, indeed. Big Johnny. We're back.
How you been, Dave?
I've been all right. I've been all right.
Not so angry tonight? Seemed angry last night.
Last night? Was I angry last night?
A little bit. It seemed like you had some frustration. You let it out on AJ quite a bit.
You'll be all right. You'll be safe.
Well, that's good to know. Fantastic. So you want to talk about CM Punk, I guess? All the shenanigans with that?
I guess, man. It's all nonsense to me. You know, it's going on. People are talking about CM Punk. He seems to be the big story in pro wrestling. I wish he wasn't. I wish this wasn't the story in wrestling. I wish we had something else to talk about tonight. I really do. Because I'm tired of talking about, is he going to come back to AEW or not? You know? Like, it feels like we've been talking about it for months, and it's been the only thing anybody's ever talking about in wrestling. Oh, when's CM Punk coming back to AEW? Is he going to team with FTR to take on the Bucks and Kenny? And Dax Harwood has had his podcast, and he talked about it, and that caused all sorts of news and controversy, and it's just like, at this point, I'm kind of done. And even the scenario that they present where he can't get along with the locker room, so we're going to put him on the Saturday show. It's a new show, and he's going to be on that only. It's not even appealing to me. I don't want to see him on an island by himself. I want to see him interacting with the roster. I'm not one of these people that takes sides that says, oh, I like CM Punk and the Young Bucks and Kenny, they suck, I don't like them, or vice versa. I like all those guys. I think they're all some of the best wrestling talent in the world today and of their generation. They're tremendous. The Bucks, one of the best tag teams in the world. Kenny Omega, one of the best wrestlers in the world, and CM Punk as well. So I just want to see them coexist on the same show. Wouldn't it be great to see them all on one TV show And if AEW only had one TV show for us to watch, Rampage happened tonight. I didn't watch it. It was at 6:30. 6:30 at night. I thought it was on normal time tonight. I wasn't even aware of when Rampage was on. I thought it was either normal time or tomorrow or whatever. I didn't know. So I didn't watch it. And I don't know if I missed anything. I don't care if I did. I really don't. It's irrelevant. Because most of the time you could sit by, not watch Rampage, and be fine as far as your enjoyment of AEW. All you really need to do is watch Dynamite. And I'm not convinced, and I don't think anybody's convinced, that this Collision thing is actually going to work. That was a big announcement this week. Tony Khan said, AEW is going to have a Saturday night show. It's called Collision on TNT. Cool. But you didn't tell me that CM Punk was going to be on. And apparently there's a reason for that, right? The Wrestling Observer and Fightful and Wade Keller and all these people, they're reporting CM Punk news this week.
And Punk too.
And CM Punk is even reporting his own news, right? He's going out. So the Wrestling Observer newsletter has laid out the following story. CM Punk wants his guy Ace Steel to have his job back with AEW. That apparently was going down. Ace Steel was able to have his job back with AEW, but Punk was just recently told that Ace Steel couldn't actually be at the buildings. He had to be working remotely for AEW. I don't know what kind of job he has for AEW where he can't be at the building, but he still works for the company. What's he doing? Is he just like pitching stories for Punk? I don't know what his job is. That is not clear. No one seems to know what his actual job would be, right? So apparently Punk,
I'm not sure.
Punk got mad because Ace Steel wouldn't be allowed in the building for his job. And, you know, Ace Steel was part of the whole brawl with the Bucks and Kenny. And you could say you know what happened and how it all went down, but you'd be lying because nobody really knows how the fight went down, who threw the first punch, who was at fault, what happened. No one knows. Punk posted a picture of what looked like a locker room door on his Instagram this week. And there was a sign on the door that said, Larry is here, keep door closed. So maybe that was him saying, hey, guys, this was my locker room door and people burst in, and what do you expect to happen? So, okay, I don't know. Like, this is the thing. Everybody's kind of throwing little things like, hey, well, I'm justified because of this. Well, CM Punk threw a chair at me, and Ace Steel bit me, or whatever happened, you know? It's like, okay, usually when there's a physical altercation, everybody's kind of wrong. If it gets to the point where you guys are fighting, somebody's made a mistake somewhere. And none of these men are big enough to admit any of that. Which is really offensive to me, is that these children can't get their shit together to be on the same TV show. It's just, it's pathetic. And I'm tired of following this story. I'm sick of it. Because just the fact that Tony Khan doesn't wield enough power or respect to get these guys to fall in line is one of the major problems with AEW. I'm more mad at Tony Khan than anybody in this whole thing. Because he's the one that allows all of this to fester. Vince would never. You know what I mean? Vince would be like, listen, pal, this is how it is, you know? And you'd listen. But Tony Khan, hey guys, I think we just keep you on a different show. Okay, Tony. Fuck off, Tony. Get out of my locker room, Tony. You know?
You know, I just find it really intriguing that depending if there's Punk or no Punk for June 17th will depend where Collision will actually be held, because Tony said a lot of things, but he didn't say where it will actually be held until next week. So we won't actually have a good idea if we're going to get Punk or not, depending where it's going to be, apparently.
Yeah, that was the other thing.
That's amazing.
And next week, I'll have another big announcement. I'll tell you where the first collision will be, right? That's what he said. This is unbelievable. And I'm supposed to just be sitting at home going, I can't wait to find out when it's where. Where is it going to be? Is it going to be in Montreal? No. So what do I care? Again, unless it's here for me, I don't really care. Unless it's close by, the fact that it's in Chicago or Jacksonville, right? That's the story that Meltzer has put out. It's either going to be in Chicago if they can secure Punk, or it's going to be in Jacksonville. And so Punk, right, we didn't really go through the whole Punk and Ace Steel thing. Ace Steel is not allowed to be at the building, so Punk gets mad and says, well, I'm not coming back to work, I guess. So Warner
this is
Brothers...
the rumor story again.
Right, but, there are news outlets reporting it.
Right.
But I have to put those things in quotations because news outlets, it's shaky. It's not like CNN reports or whatever. It's the Wrestling Observer and Fightful. These are not Pulitzer Prize-winning organizations. No disrespect to them, but, they're not. They know what they are. It's a dirt sheet. When you're called a profession, it's a dirt sheet. It's dirt. It's like rumors and shit. It's good. I like it, and I believe most of it, to a certain degree, but...
Well, you saw that Punk attacked one of those guys on the Observer, like Brian Alvarez, right? So
yeah,
there might be some bias there where they're putting more negative stuff on Punk. I wouldn't be surprised because Punk's attacked them.
Yeah, and I'll show those. I'll show those things. There's a lot of comments in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, I have them. I'm prepared, John. I've done research. I've done preparation. I'm prepared for this show. I'm not always just a loosely put together guy. Sometimes I actually set things up. You know me. I'm actually very well prepared for this show. People would be shocked at how many notes I have going into every week, right? It's pretty intense.
I feel there's a lot of AJ shots again. You're already shooting again, but it's okay.
I'm not at all. I didn't even think about it. I don't know what you're talking about. I really...
Well, you said last night you kind of criticized him for bringing nothing to the table. That was kind of mean, but...
AJ interrupted me and started saying that I was wrong when he didn't even know what I was talking about last night. And Fred had to jump in and be like, that's not what he said, AJ. I was talking about how John Jones beat Cyril Gann, and then he's like, no, Dave, that's not how it went down. Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gann. I'm like, I'm not talking about Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gann. But AJ, I don't know. Yeah. It was odd.
Well, the passion there. Yeah, a lot of passion.
It was confused passion. I wasn't even... Yeah. He doesn't listen to me sometimes. He needs to listen.
Emotions got the best in there.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised by all the comments because, a lot of people are interested about CM Punk. I know you're kind of sick of it, but for a lot of people, this is the biggest thing in wrestling.
Well, it is the biggest thing in wrestling, and it has been for several months now. I just want them to get on with it. We're talking about it. It's juicy gossip, but it's not anything substantial. Darth Gills says CM Punk is the problem everywhere he goes. At this point, to me, it's clear he's the problem and not the company. Everyone else does just fine, but CM Punk always in his feelings starting problems. Maybe. Doug Hepburn says, I can't remember the last time I saw Rampage. I never missed Dynamite. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. Precisely, Doug. Shout out to Doug and Nick out in Kingston. Member of the team.
Rampage was good, though, tonight, though. From what I saw, I didn't see all of it, but from what I saw, Rampage wasn't that bad tonight.
I was watching the Yankees. Their first pitch was at 6:30 at the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati, where they picked up a 6-2 win. Another victory for the Yankees. Thank you.
You were in a sticky situation. Which one to watch?
Are you talking about what happened to Clark Schmidt tonight, or what happened to Domingo Herman the other day? Because Clark Schmidt had to wash his hands tonight. Did you see the game?
He didn't get kicked out, though.
No,
I heard about it.
Yeah, he didn't get kicked out of the game, and then the Reds manager came out, and he was quite upset, and then he wound up getting kicked out of the game, which was pretty good.
Well, you can't swear.
Yankees win!
Wow.
John Sterling with the call. Thank you. Beautiful. Shout out Ryan Katz in the chat as well, saying CM Punk isn't worth the trouble. Harold Schneider dropping the super chat. Thank you, Harold, supporting the team. Drop a super chat. Go to join.ringsidereport.net if you have not already. Harold Schneider says, Steele is working for Tony from what I read and has been for a few months. That's what I've heard. He's been there for like 6 to 8 weeks or something already, but not backstage. And Punk thought he would be coming with him, and when he was told that he couldn't come with him, he decided to not show up to work or say he wasn't going to be at work in the future. It's unclear what exactly transpired, but they were supposed to advertise CM Punk when they announced this new Collision show. Warner Brothers Discovery had upfronts, which is where the networks all show their new TV shows and what they have planned for the new TV season, and they were announcing AEW Collision as a new show on TNT, and they were supposed to push CM Punk as the main star of that show, and they did not because of this whole Ace Steel thing, apparently, according to several of the noted wrestling dirt sheets out there.
Well, it's interesting when you look at the poster, it feels like someone was cut out, right? Because you have, I think, Orange Cassidy and MJF in, like, the center, but, like, it feels like there was a spot there for somebody that they just may have happened to edit. I mean, it kind of makes sense when you look at the poster.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to tell. It's not like there was, like, a CM Punk outline that was missing, but I know what you mean.
No.
It did seem a little weird of a poster, but I mean, that's not cool for Punk to do. Like, your buddy can't show up to work with you, so what are you doing? Are you threatening not to show up at the show that they have booked in your hometown? A TV show that's going to revolve around you, where you don't even have to deal with the Young Bucks or Kenny Omega because you're on your own island with all the wrestlers that kiss your ass and want to hang out with you anyways? Like, they have a show for you. It's in your hometown. It's your own TV show, your own roster, basically. And that's not good enough? Like, at this point, I go, okay, man, what's the deal? I don't know. I mean, that seems wrong to me. I don't know all the details, but if Punk is saying, I'm not coming because Ace Steel can't come with me, I don't know. There's bigger things at play, you know? How about you show up and then you work on Ace Steel? But not showing up, I mean, you think they're going to keep Ace Steel around if you don't show up to work? You know what I mean? If AEW is like, well, if we don't have Punk anymore, what do you think they're going to say to Ace Steel? You think they're going to keep paying him? It's not big picture thinking. You know, you got to think like, hey, man, Ace Steel wants a job here. Well, he can't show up to the building. He's a little mad about it, but if I don't show up to work, they're going to fire Ace Steel. And then what's he going to do? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. The whole story this week was like, what? And again, I'm annoyed that this is even the story that we have to talk about tonight. Like, it's so convoluted. I could show you the Punk stuff about Brian Alvarez, but that goes even deeper into the muck of nonsense. But we can go there if you want. I have the screenshots from his Instagram ready.
Well, if the people want to see it, sure, no problem. But yeah, that goes into deeper mud, like you said. I just felt that I didn't think they'd have announced Punk because that would kind of ruin the surprise that he was going to actually be there. Like, I thought they were going to play it up like the whole Rampage thing where it's like, well, it'll be in Chicago.
Yeah.
And we'll call it the second coming. And, just wait and see. That's kind of how Rampage worked when Punk showed up, and that worked out pretty well. So that's what I thought they'd do. But now it's like the venue isn't guaranteed to be in Chicago. So it's like, well, sounds like there's some issue, clearly.
They need a backup venue, Daly's Place in Jacksonville. It's ludicrous. It's just dumb stuff. and they just can't get him to show up. At this point, if you really did say, well, I'm not coming, you got to show some balls here, Tony Khan, and say, well, you're fired, right?
Wow. Does he want to do that, though? I don't think he'd do that, though. Like, considering everything that he's went through for him and, like, pretty much all the, like, publicity they get off just of maybe he'll show up.
I know. He's a big star and he's worth a lot, but damn, man, is he worth the trouble? Like, Ultimate Warrior wasn't worth the trouble.
But he got many chances, though.
He did get a lot of chances, but Vince fired him, you know?
And brought him back.
And brought him back. But at this point with Punk, it's almost Warrior level. Just friction with everybody where he can't quite get it together. And he's a massive star, and people are going to keep trying to put him on TV because, you know, he's over like crazy. He's a top guy, and there aren't many top guys left. But it's very Warrior-ish at this point with Punk, right? Like, he's hell wigging out.
I mean, different, obviously. They're totally different situations, the way it's all working out, obviously, with their whole scenarios. But, I mean, the big thing that I look at here, you're having a show, Saturday Night Wrestling, 2 hours.
Oh,
pretty much live almost every week. Like, that's a big undertaking right there to do. And that's the...
Sorry.
I tried not to be Undertaker, but it came out that way. It'd be cool if they had but they need a big star, though. They need someone to get people to watch on Saturday night.
They need the Undertaker.
Well, they need someone huge. I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Because they get people to watch Saturday nights. They're not used to that, wrestling fans. We've been adjusted to the whole Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. Maybe some Thursday for some people. So to do Saturday nights, like, that changes wrestling too for a lot of people, for a lot of fans. Because a lot of fans are like, well, we go out Saturday nights, or we're going to a wrestling show Saturday night, but now we're going to stay and watch, Collision. You got to give us a reason why. And
yeah,
I feel like you need a big star like Punk, because Punk's the one who attracts a lot of attention, good or bad.
You got to wrestle too. I mean, you got to give us a real reason for tuning into a wrestling show on a Saturday night. You've got to give me something, because I've said it before, Saturday nights are for UFC. I got no time for pro wrestling on a Saturday night. Unless there's no UFC, okay, but most Saturday nights there's a UFC show. And, I mean, if Collision was on tomorrow night, say, and opposite that was Mackenzie Dern versus Angela Hill UFC card, which isn't the strongest card, maybe I'd watch Collision to watch Punk. Right?
Right.
But if we're talking about a serious UFC pay-per-view where the prelims, even from 8 o'clock till 10, are good fights that I got money on, that, I'm not watching Collision. And how many times is that show going to get bumped around their channel for football or basketball or whatever on a Saturday night? That show's going to be bumped around like Rampage gets bumped around. You're going to have a hard time finding this show.
It'd be hockey or baseball. I think that's what TNT pretty much shows. And this is why they're starting it on like a Saturday when those seasons are over, to kind of help build up that audience. So like when it does get bumped around, the audience, at least they would hope, would follow, because it gained such a support by then. That's their plan, I think.
Good luck. Is Rampage still going to be a show?
Yeah, I think that's the plan. Yeah, Rampage is still going to be a show, but it's going to be more like, I guess, Dark Elevation was.
I don't know. I mean, WWE only does 2 TV shows a week. Who do they think they are?
They do NXT as well, to be fair.
But it's on the network, isn't it?
I mean, we don't. Sure, but still, that's they counted and they even reference it a lot of times too. I mean, they reference it tonight because we have the NXT Tag Team Champions on.
Yes, who I liked quite a bit. I thought they were really good.
I mean, they look good against enhancement talent.
Yeah,
I'd
but
like to see what they do against people on the roster because you always look good against people you can just throw around and be a little stiff with.
yeah.
But let's see what happens when you wrestle people that say, "Hey, don't hit me that hard."
Yeah. Okay, sticking on Punk, let's see the screenshots with the Brian Alvarez stuff, because it's just odd. It's just odd stuff happening.
Is this what started it? Is this the first thing they put out, or
I don't know.
it's not the first thing, though?
It's one of them. Look, everyone, Brian Alvarez doesn't like it when misinformed internet trolls make up rumors about him, so please stop making up rumors and stories for clicks while Brian makes up rumors and stories for clicks, okay? He's married, for God's sakes. By God, that man has a family. Brian Alvarez, shut the fuck up and stop talking about me, challenge day one. I don't know. Apparently, there was like a thing way back that Brian Alvarez wrote when CM Punk was in WWE and dating Maria.
Okay.
Way back.
You interviewed him when that was happening, no?
I interviewed him when that was happening. CM Punk is the first guy I ever interviewed in pro wrestling.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, right? And he was not a huge deal back then. He was just coming to WWE.
He was in ECW, I think, no?
Yeah, I think he was in the ECW thing. That's why they gave him to me, because he wasn't,
Yeah. Boosted him.
Yeah. They were trying to promote him. And I remember him being a little, like a little prickly. It was my first interview, though. What the hell did I know? I was an amateur. But, so there's stuff about Brian Alvarez. Apparently, Brian Alvarez wrote that Punk had a reputation for being dangerous around the women in WWE. Okay. He wrote that at the time, and this other guy has been talking about it and saying that that's why Punk is upset. I don't know. Like, you see, I can't even follow all this nonsense.
Well, when you get personal beef against each other, then, yeah, things like this are going to happen. People are going to start spreading lies and stories because that's unfortunately what happens in the wrestling business. A lot of people are immature and, egomaniacs, and they just try to one-up each other, pretty much. Even if they're not even in wrestling, they just try to hurt other people. A lot of horrible human beings, unfortunately, in wrestling.
Yeah. Who are you saying is horrible?
Just people in general in wrestling. There's a lot of people in general. I'm not going to actually name names. I know you're trying to get me to name names.
Yeah. Who specifically are you talking about here, John? Are you saying Brian Alvarez is horrible for saying that about CM Punk? Because that seems kind of rough. Right? It's not cool. So apparently, this guy, David Bixenspan, who is this other guy who's constantly tweeting. He's got like a billion tweets out, right? He's this wrestling guy. Have you heard about this guy? Have you heard of this guy?
I think once or twice I may have seen a thing about him.
So he apparently was tweeting about it at the time. He writes about wrestling, I think, and he was tweeting about it at the time when Alvarez said this about Punk. And then Alvarez wrote an email that Punk has kept, and then Punk put out on his Instagram this week. This is like 12 years ago shit, right? So here's the...
That's some grudge.
Right. So here's the email that apparently Alvarez wrote to somebody associated to Punk, but it got to Punk. I feel stupid for even bothering to write this. Yep. But David Bixenspan is in one of his moods, and I have been reading the stupidest shit the last 3 days. If you ever talk to Punk about this, and I doubt you will, and I doubt even more that he'd give a fuck. Oh, you're wrong about that, Brian Alvarez. He definitely does give a fuck. He kept the email. It's like 14 years later, man. Please let him know that I do not, nor have I ever had any problem with him. It has been 4 years, and Bix still believes that I hold a grudge against CM Punk because he was dating Maria. What? This is Maria Kanellis we're talking about, who's married to Mike Bennett now. She's
Was Maria dating Brian or something? Like,
no, I don't think
that's what
so.
I'm getting
I don't
at.
think so. I think Brian maybe just had a crush on Maria, and he was like annoyed that Punk was dating her. It's like odd. It's odd. And then the best part, he goes, the
Wow.
best part is that I am writing this on my anniversary weekend with my wife. I can only imagine the shit that will be written in another 4 years. So yeah, hope things are well for you, and let me know if you need anything. Brian Alvarez. So, okay. That kind of puts the last CM Punk thing into context, I think, right? Except he put it in out of order, so it's a little confusing. Where he goes, Brian Alvarez, when misinformed internet trolls make up rumors about him, stop making up rumors and stories for clicks. While Brian makes up rumors and stories for clicks, he's married. Right, so there's that. And then Punk put out another one. Punk was really going hard this week.
I saw a video of Punk talking.
Yeah, I don't have that video because it's off his Instagram at this point. But I just have the screenshots. Here's a friendly reminder. I haven't been on TV in 9 months, and y'all still just can't stop talking about me. I mean,
facts.
Right?
Yeah.
Maybe stop.
Yeah,
you'll feel better. I mean, yeah, I would feel better. I'd be happy to not. Love, hate, it's all the same. Well, I mean, I don't enjoy being the sole person that props up entire misinformed clickbait industry based on toxic gossip from lying sources, but what can you do? When you're the king, it comes with the crown. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty profound stuff right there, yeah.
I mean,
I agree with that. Yeah.
He's super over. He's one of the biggest stars in wrestling. You could argue he's the biggest star in wrestling.
Arguably, yeah. He's up there.
Him and Roman and Brock, and it's him and Roman and Brock, pretty much star power wise. Like
in AEW, like I think he's definitely the top star in AEW.
Bryan Danielson's pretty big and respected, and Jericho is a big name too. You know, Jericho's been around for forever. He's a legend.
But respectfully, you know, Danielson, you know, he was on Dynamite. It's like, oh, he's just there. You know, it wasn't really a big deal when he came out on Dynamite this week.
Yeah. But for a while there, CM Punk, it was just like, oh, there's Punk. The more you see him, the more it's like, okay.
They overdid it. They overdid it a little bit. But now it's like, people can't wait for him to come back. It's crazy.
Yeah, people want to see him again. People want to see him again. I want to see him again because of the way he left. He left as the world champion and then got into a fight.
Yeah.
Right? He left as the world champion, got injured in the match on pay-per-view, then afterwards cut a ridiculous promo shitting on most of the roster by name.
That was fantastic, yeah.
Right? And it was crazy. And then got into a big fight with 3 of the top stars in all of professional wrestling. That has been talked about now for like 9 months because that's how long he's been out. And he was always going to be out for this long because he got hurt. So, yeah, he left in a pretty crazy spot. You know? Of course there's going to be interest in what he does when he comes back. But if it's him wrestling Andrade on a Saturday night, which is the rumored pitch, like, get out of here with that.
I thought it was Samoa Joe.
Oh,
that's what I read.
I mean, that's better, I guess. Marginally.
I think that's fantastic.
I mean, yeah. I would go back to Joe and
great.
Punk. I would watch that. You know, it's good. Yeah. You know, I'm good with that. But I'd also like to see him wrestle Kenny Omega. Not even really because of the backstage real life shit. I want to see CM Punk wrestle Kenny Omega because they're 2 of the best wrestlers in the world and they've never wrestled, and it would be damn cool to see.
I feel that's a match for All In. It's like a special kind of thing. Only should happen maybe once kind of thing. All In, I think, is a perfect kind of event for that.
Would be good, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen, right? Especially if you listen to Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer, they can't stop telling you that those matches will never happen. They are adamant. And, I mean, they're not the only ones, because they get named, and they're kind of the biggest ones out there, right? Meltzer, when you think about the dirt sheets, you think about the Meltzer, right? And
he's the most popular one, I think.
Yeah, and he's associated with Alvarez. But I also saw a report here from the Pro Wrestling Torch, Wade Keller, who's another one of these guys, who does very well in the wrestling space with the Pro Wrestling Torch, reliable news source in wrestling. I'm consistently told by multiple people in AEW in various roles and of various ages and experience levels, wrestlers and otherwise, that most of AEW's top wrestlers who regularly appear on Dynamite would be relieved if Punk and AEW parted ways. So, a lot of news sites are saying that a lot of people in AEW don't want Punk around at all.
But it contradicts a lot, though, because you've seen wrestlers interviewed saying that they like Punk, and they talked about good moments with Punk. So, who are these people that speak poorly of Punk? Like, and you never really hear those things where it's like, oh, I'd rather not have Punk around. Like, you actually hear positive stories about Punk, so I don't get that.
The only person that I've heard speak negatively about CM Punk publicly has been Seth Rollins, and he shouldn't really matter because he's in WWE. Like, I haven't heard any of these guys. What?
Yeah.
Like,
that was because he didn't want to wrestle him. Because Punk kind of put him down.
But the point is, I haven't heard any of these guys directly. It's to your point, because I've heard FTR and Will Hobbs and Wardlow and a bunch of these guys talk about how much they like CM Punk.
Jade
Cargill, Ricky Starks. Like, there's a long list of people that have come out publicly in support of CM Punk. AEW wrestlers coming out negatively about CM Punk. I mean, Kenny has kind of thrown some subliminal shots on Twitter, and the Bucks have maybe put some things out, but nothing direct. Nothing obvious.
They did in the match. They did in the match, pretty much. That was that. But I think, didn't he say something? He may have not said this, but I felt he said, like, that's what people want to see, too. It'd be big business to have that kind of thing happen. I don't think he said he wanted to happen, but you can't ignore that kind of thing.
I mean, he's aware. True. I don't know what the roadblock is. I don't know who the roadblock is, and a lot of people claim they know what exactly the problem is, but it's not clear. And I don't think anyone's innocent in this. I mostly want it to go away, and I'd like them to kind of get on with it. Like, the fact that it's all playing out backstage and in the Wrestling Observer and all these little shows and on Instagram, and that's not where I want to see it. I want to see it on a Wednesday night on Dynamite. Because guess what, AEW? You've done a good job. Wednesday nights are yours. Wednesday night, I watch Dynamite. That is my AEW night. AEW has done a tremendous job, and very few people can, like promotions, can ever achieve this. They have taken over a night. They won the Wednesday Night Wars, and it's theirs. They beat NXT. They ran them off Wednesdays. AEW Dynamite owns Wednesday nights. I and many others, it's an appointment viewing 8 p.m. Wednesday nights. Dynamite. You've done that. Whether it's a bad show or a good or a good show,
you gotta see what it's like. Yeah,
you gotta tune in. You're gonna watch Dynamite and see what's going on in AEW world, right? But Rampage, Collision, those aren't your nights. Friday night is not your night. That's SmackDown's night. Get off SmackDown's night, man. That's not your night. And Saturday night is UFC night. That's not your night. It's not their night. Their night is Wednesday. They need to stick to Wednesday. Sundays once in a while. If you want to put on another show, put it on Tuesday or something, because no wrestling company really owns Tuesday. But Friday night and Saturday night, I don't think wrestling fans have an appetite to watch more wrestling on a Friday or a Saturday night. Even if CM Punk is there. And if he's not, oh, shit. You know what I mean? If he's not, imagine a 2-hour show on Saturday night and he's not there. What do they have? Dynamite scraps? Like, man. Dude,
Well,
I don't
think
want that.
about
I don't want that in my life.
like in terms of the venue though, they go from like 17,000 possibly plus in Chicago to like what 5,000 at most in Jacksonville. I mean, in terms of that too, I mean, you just completely change in terms what you're making and the atmosphere too. I mean, no offense to Jacksonville, but they've got a lot of shows. Chicago does too, but at least when it's like close to 20,000, it really makes a difference.
Yep. Maybe they offset the cost by the fact that they own the building if they do it in
Yeah, sure.
Jacksonville. I don't know.
But the
But yeah,
experience though, I mean,
of
it's not
course.
the same.
I'm not concerned
It's,
about the venue, though, man. I'm concerned about the actual product on TV. And if that product doesn't have CM Punk, what do they have?
that's a great question. Yeah, they need a big, like I said, need a big top star for Saturday.
There is no big
So
top star. It doesn't exist. I mean, we were struggling to find a guy in pro wrestling, all of pro wrestling, that could potentially beat Roman Reigns at some point in the next 2 to 3 years. And there's nobody. There's nobody.
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Like, who's AEW going to pull out from thin air as a headliner? Like, there are no headliners left. They're gone. There's a couple, but it's a real thin herd right now as far as legit main event talent that people will tune in to watch. You know?
Yeah.
People are not going to tune in to watch some half-ass mid-carder. People want talent. People want A-level stars. And they better not be thinking Drew McIntyre's the answer, because he's not. Like, even if he's done with WWE or whatever's going on there, I don't know what the deal is, right? But even if they could get like a Drew McIntyre, it's mid. It doesn't move the needle, right? You got to get a needle mover, and he's not that guy. It doesn't shake the wrestling world to move a Drew McIntyre over to AEW. There are very few guys that they could get to headline a Saturday night show, even if they could pick anybody from WWE. You know what I mean? Like, even if they had their pick, if they could get Cody back or Seth Rollins, like, maybe. But other than those guys and Brock, like, just the wrestling business, the whole landscape, who's actually over that could draw a show on their own?
Yeah, besides the names you just named, yeah, there's not too many. You know, I think AEW has a bunch of good wrestlers, but in terms of like top stars, like there's not too many of them.
Yeah.
You know, Jericho's up there, I guess. I mean, you're gonna have Jericho on Collision, but
Dude, he's not who he was. We know this. He's great. He's a legend, and we love him, but he can't carry a show anymore.
But I think he's a great
2002.
component of a show. Great component of a show. And
Sure.
to be fair, like I thought in Dynamite this week, he was probably the best part of the show.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to that, of course.
Yeah. I mean, we could go into Dynamite now if you want to. But I think wrestling as a whole right now is in not great shape. As far as like the legit stars that we have here, it's worrisome. And you look at what the future holds, like, what do we have? What's real?
Well, what you have coming up, you went from 7 hours of wrestling a week. You're going to go up to 9 hours of wrestling a week now. So have fun with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it better be good. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm all for good wrestling. That's no problem, but it's got to keep up to par.
And as it is, it's, you know.
Well, we haven't seen it yet, right? We'll find out June 17th, right?
Yeah, but we've seen AEW. Do you need AEW to be stretched more than it already is?
I do feel some people have been lost. And we kind of saw it too, like, Miro, Andrade. There was injuries, setbacks, whatever, but I'm sure there's still other wrestlers that should be around more often that aren't around. It's just like they're there and they just disappear, and then they come back for a little bit, and it's hard when they lose that momentum. It's hard for a lot of people to get over where they just disappear and you don't find them on Rampage or Dark, right? So I mean, if they had a permanent home in Collision, I think that would help a lot. And I think they have enough quality talent to actually do 4 hours every week.
Well, we'll see about that. I'm not sure they do. Like, where's
Okay,
Pac?
we'll find out. Well, that's one.
Miro,
I'm sure
Archer,
there's a
Trans
huge
Am
list.
is throwing Miro and Archer out. I mean, Miro probably will come back. Andrade, maybe. I don't know. We'll see what Collision is, but I think that it's just going to be another version of Rampage that you don't have to watch, and you just keep watching Dynamite. And I'm not going to watch on a Saturday night. I mean, I will once in a while, but I don't see myself consistently watching it, especially if they don't have Punk, which it seems like at the moment they don't.
Well, I know for sure you're not watching the second episode because I think that's on your son's birthday, so that's probably not going to happen. But first episode, I think whether they have Punk or not, I think you're going to check it out just to see like what are they going to offer, especially if they don't have Punk.
We'll see. If they have Punk, I'll watch. If they don't, I don't know. I could still watch wrestling on my son's birthday. It'll probably be on after he goes to bed. Although it'll be a big party day. He'll be 6 years old. He's going to be big man. Big man. Can't believe it. Crazy. Doug Hepburn dropping a super chat. He says, couldn't believe Johnny said the S word last week. I couldn't believe it either. I mean, it was a botch, but still.
It was me mispronouncing a word and it just came out like that. It wasn't actually intended for that.
Johnny never swears. Johnny is clean living, clean talking man. Not like me. I'm a filthy animal.
Well, especially last night. Wow.
I mean, I say things that are filthy. I eat things that are, I don't eat clean like Johnny. I like candy and stuff. And then there's other things that I'm putting into me that, can't even talk about. Some of them aren't even legal. So I am not like
good.
Johnny. But we're similar.
You like a lot of meat. Meat's good.
A lot of meat, pal. That's right, a lot of beef. Yeah. So Dynamite this week you liked?
For the most part, again, like I don't know if Dynamite's ever consistent, start to finish, but I think there was more good than bad this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. I don't know, man.
Disagree? What did you?
I mean, it was okay, but it wasn't. I thought Jericho and Roderick Strong was pretty good. I liked their Falls Count Anywhere match.
That was the match of the show.
Mm-hmm. I thought that was good. Jay White and Ricky Starks was all right until the finish there. Juice Robinson came in with the chair and caused a disqualification. But, whatever. I think they're going to build towards something between those two or three. Maybe Ricky Starks will get a tag partner or something. But, I thought Jericho's match was good. But the rest of the show, I don't know. I mean, it was okay. But it wasn't anything.
The opener was okay.
There's nothing spectacular. The what?
The opener was fine with Orange and Darby against the formerly known as the Firm team.
Yeah.
Of Big Bill.
I don't know why they had Darby team with Orange, though.
Well, it's because they wanted all of them, all who's challenging MJF to have a match.
Yeah, but why did Darby
And
have to be with Orange in his? Like
because Orange has
Sammy
to be,
wrestle? Sammy wrestled a guy and squashed him. Jungle Boy wrestled Roosh and beat Roosh.
Right.
And Orange Cassidy and Darby has a team with Orange Cassidy. Like, why did he have to do a tag team match?
Because Orange has to be on every show. So that's why that happened.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be intertwined with the main event world title story. Because Orange is kind of a joke, and his title is kind of a joke, and it's like not serious. And then Darby is like more serious and in a serious program, but then he's intermingling with this nonsense. I didn't like that.
Like I get how you're feeling on that, but they're trying to get everyone on the show that they want. So that's how there's just that spot for Darby. Sadly,
Yeah, well,
I mean,
it's not
I think
goddamn everybody gets to participate. It's like, hey, let's make this proper. And Darby shouldn't have been in this tag match. I don't like it for Darby. I'm a Darby fan. I'm a big Darby backer. I think Darby could be something special. And I think this was the worst spot for any of the three guys. Like, Darby had to be in this tag team match where Sammy Guevara, he got to squash a guy, and Jungle Boy got to wrestle Roosh. Much better spots.
I thought Jungle Boy actually looked the weakest, actually, because Roosh looked fantastic. And it's like Roosh should be the one getting the title shot. To me, Jungle Boy, what did he do? Like, he got busted open. He took a good bump, okay, but like Roosh showed like true intensity out there. Jungle Boy didn't show much fire.
And he cheated to win. And Jungle Boy cheated to win, too. He beat Roosh, but he had a handful of trunks when he beat him.
Well, their reasoning on commentary was that he had no choice on that one. So apparently you can cheat if you have no choice.
What do you mean you had no choice? You had a choice?
Because Roosh was putting such a beating on him. It was the only way for him to get out with a win.
So what does that mean for this guy who's a supposed world title challenger? Like, you're right. Roosh made he made a stronger impression, and maybe he should take the spot of Jungle Boy in this match.
I agree. Yeah. See, at least Darby, maybe he's not facing the top tier competition, but he still looks good what he does. Doesn't hurt himself.
So why did they do this? This is not good build. Not like the Darby was not built properly here. Jungle Boy was not built properly by having to cheat to win as a babyface, cheating to beat a heel. Ah, man. Just do it properly, man. It's not that hard. Call me up. I will give you better ideas than what you're currently doing. It's ridiculous. How many times do I have to tell these people? It is not rocket science. It is pro wrestling. It's goddamn simple. And they make it too complicated, and it winds up making no sense and doing nobody any favors and getting nobody over, and that's why we have no stars. Because nobody knows how to book things and get anybody over. Unless you just book a guy to win everything and look super strong for years and years. That's the only way to make a star in modern wrestling. I'm talking about you, Roman Reigns.
I'm talking about Jade Cargill, okay?
No. Well, her too, I guess, but I mean, Roman became a mega star in wrestling. How? Because they shoved him down our throats forever, and he turned heel at the right time, and he's done it quite well. I want to talk about Roman later because he was excellent tonight.
Yep.
Excellent. Tribal Chief. He is our Tribal Chief. He really is. What a guy. So Darby and Orange beat Lee Moriarty and Big Bill. Darby hit the coffin drop, and then he won with a headlock takeover, proving a point to MJF. Like, hey, I won with a headlock takeover too after hitting my finish. The show opened with Wardlow cutting a promo, called out Christian. He said, hey, come and spit in my face like you said you would. And then Christian and Luchasaurus come out, and they just beat up Wardlow. And then Luchasaurus chokeslams him through a ladder. Like, they just beat the hell out of Wardlow. Smart thinking there, Wardlow. Come out, and then he just come out and they're like, okay, and they beat the hell out of him. I didn't like opening the show like that. I was like, what the hell is this? Wardlow never looks good or smart.
I don't think it needs to be smart, but I liked what it led to afterwards with Arn.
You like that? See, maybe this is why you like the show better than I did. I thought Arn Anderson just seemed like he was a mad, rambling man. Didn't make a lot of sense. The
fact that we get a ladder match, I think that's the best kind of match you can get for this. If it was just one-on-one, that's going to be a fantastic match, I think. Christian in ladder matches? Like, can you think of a bad Christian ladder match? Like, especially a singles ladder match, Christian is fantastic in those.
Yeah.
Like, this should be great. This could steal the show.
I just hope he doesn't have to take too many big bumps. Like, come on, the guy's been doing it forever. You're really going to keep doing this to the guy? But he is amazing in ladder matches. He's the king. He's a master.
He only wrestles once in a while, too. I mean, if you only wrestle once in a while, you can hurt yourself a little bit. Take time to heal. Be ready for Toronto, all those shows.
Yeah.
They get. We don't.
You think Christian beats Wardlow? I mean, it's for the TNT title.
Well, he doesn't have, it's a ladder match, right? I mean, he's probably not going to win. But he's not going to actually be pinned or submitted.
I mean, it's Christian's match. Shouldn't he win?
Yeah, I agree, but I feel like this is more just a, put him over.
I don't know.
Not Christian being over, unfortunately. It should be Christian going over. I'd rather Christian win.
I think it should be. I think it might be, too. And then you have Christian as a champion going into the Canadian loop, I think you could do something. Because, honestly, you watch Dynamite, who's good on that show? Who's actually good? Christian is actually good.
Christian is great, yeah.
Like, his matches are good. His promos are good. He's one of the best guys they have. So
doesn't need a title, though.
Well, gives him a reason to be on TV, and it makes your championship mean something if you give it to a guy like Christian. Whereas keeping it guys like Wardlow and Will Hobbs, who you're trying desperately to get over but fail miserably at every turn, what does that do for your TNT title? Doesn't make it mean much. I'd like championships to mean something in pro wrestling, and sometimes you got to give it to the guys that are the best. Just because they're older and, don't necessarily need another title win. Why not? Christian, has he held a championship in AEW yet? He should be an AEW champion. He should have some gold. Right?
I don't disagree with that. It's just I don't know if they really want to go in that direction with him, where he's kind of doing something with Luchasaurus. Like, why make him a singles champion where he has Luchasaurus around him all the time? It feels like they'd be better as a tag
Luchasaurus can't wrestle? How about that?
Former tag champ.
Yeah, but he sucks. So how about this? Instead of going in there and hurting people and hurting himself, you have him as Christian's big heater. He's scary looking. He stands outside. He's believable as this looming presence, and he can help Christian have a long title reign. He's Tyson Tomko.
Okay, sure.
He's Tomko.
I would have loved to see those as tag champs, though. Like, to me, that makes a lot of sense.
Leave the tag division as something else. Christian is better as a single star because that way we only have to see Christian wrestle. We don't have to watch Luchasaurus. I don't want to watch Luchasaurus wrestle. See, this is the thing, John. We got to minimize the bullshit and maximize the excellence. So, cut Wardlow out of the picture because, past the power bombs, there's not much there. As soon as he cut off that ponytail, he lost all his mystique. He just looks like a normal guy now. It's lame as hell. His promos are no good. They put Arn Anderson with him, and then they still have him cut a promo, and it doubly sucks. Like, I'm done with Wardlow. I don't think he's that great. I don't think there's much there. And, I don't think there's enough there to feature him as much as they do. I think he's got potential, but he's super green. And, he's not very entertaining. So why do I have to watch your training project on your main show as one of your champions? I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in a guy who's not quite ready. Call me when he's ready. Maybe I'll watch then. You know what I'm saying? Christian's more than ready. He's a seasoned Hall of
Right.
Famer, like he's amazing. Just give me the good shit. They have good shit. They just kind of sprinkle in the green nonsense that they're trying to push. Flavor of the week.
But it's also something they just started recently having Arn back on television again. And I just feel like they wouldn't just cut that right away with a loss.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I want them to, but you might be right. But I don't
I'm sure
care.
you want them to.
I mean, whatever they do, Tony Schiavone introduced Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh and Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal to the ring. He called him Sanjay Dutt.
I don't know if that was a rib or whatever, or because I mean they know each other quite well, so it's surprising that he said that. But
it was weird. FTR showed up behind all the goons there and pushed Satnam off the stage and threw some tables, and they brawled with Lethal and Jarrett. And Jay Lethal took a nice backdrop on the floor, and they were fighting all over the place. And then they set up to do the Shatter Machine on Jeff Jarrett, but Karen Jarrett, formerly Karen Angle, Jeff Jarrett's wife, she showed up and low-blowed Cash, allowing Double J to hit the stroke on old Dax. And then Satnam came back and hit a double choke slam on FTR. And they hit FTR with the guitars. And then they posed with the tag team belts, those dastardly TNA guys. I don't know if that's their group name, but I mean, that's what they are. Hey, guys, if this doesn't work out, we're going to take Sanjay and Satnam and try to start that Ring Ka-King again, I think. That's the backup plan. I mean...
that was popular, though.
In India.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was whatever. It was okay. The brawl was okay. Karen Jarrett showing up was like, what the hell? I noticed they didn't try to zoom in on her face too much. I don't know what was going on there. They had a quick shot of her face, and I was like, what does she look like exactly? I haven't seen her in a while. And then they quickly zoomed out. I was like, what's going on? Were they trying to hide something? It was weird. I never got a good look at Karen's face. It was odd. I was like, is that her?
I feel like it definitely was her. I feel the action was going on in the ring was more important. And make sure you get the guitar shots, because if you're going to take a shot to the head,
I guess, yeah.
Better make sure you don't miss that. That's important.
I hadn't seen Karen in a long time, though. I wanted to see Karen Jarrett.
I'm sure she'll do a promo next week.
That'll be good. She's good. I like her. So she's good. And, that's something, I guess. I'm not super interested in FTR versus Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, though.
I think it'll be a great match.
It's got no heat.
I don't expect...
It's got no heat whatsoever. They're trying to produce this heat, but I'm not buying it.
I think Karen's going to help a lot. Karen gets a lot of heat.
Because we know in AEW, if there's any real heat, they don't actually ever wrestle each other. That's the rule.
Yeah, but Karen, just her presence generates heat. I don't know if it's just because of her past or just maybe people going to hear her voice and she's just so annoying, her voice. But she just can generate so much anger towards the fans.
Yeah.
And then Jeff gets angry. So I have no concern that there'll be heat for the pay-per-view.
Tony Storm and Ruby Soho beat Britt Baker and Hikaru Shida. Britt was taking the heat for a while in this match, and then Shida came in for a hot tag, after a while, and this was the hot tag time, And immediately, instead of knocking Ruby Soho and da-da-da, she comes in and her and Ruby just start doing the trading of the forearms right in the middle of the ring. I was like, that's not a hot tag. That's not how you do it.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to bump and feed?
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you on that. Just some people have different ways of looking at it, and they want to change it up. So I think that was their way of doing it.
But you killed it.
I had problems with this match too. Don't worry. This wasn't a highlight for me. This match, more on Britt though. I felt Britt, for whatever reason, was like rushing everything. If you notice, she went from one move to the next, one move to the next, not selling anything, not like, going into your moves or anything or letting them breathe. It's just like boom, 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 go to this, go to that. It just felt like she was trying to beat time or whatever. It didn't feel natural what she was doing. It just felt she was going through the motions, but as fast as she possibly could. I don't know why. If maybe they possibly put the match together late and she was just trying to make sure she remembered everything and she was rushing, but something seemed off there. Maybe it's because that was originally supposed to be 6-woman tag, but for whatever reason, Jamie Hayter could not wrestle, but can wrestle at the pay-per-view. So maybe that changed things.
This match was not good, and it featured 4 of the top women in their division. Yikes.
I did like one spot though. I liked one thing when they showed the replay. I didn't notice this, where they injured Jamie Hayter on the steps. I don't know if you caught that. Like Tony Storm does a dropkick, whatever, and right afterwards, for whatever reason, like Saraya starts kicking her, giving her stomps right in her butt. I don't know why. It just seemed. It's like so useless to do that, but she did it. It was just kind of comical. But she's selling the arm, and then she starts kicking her in the butt, and she's not going to sell the butt shots, obviously, but she's still doing them. I thought that was the best part.
Tony Storm sprayed Britt Baker in the face with spray paint while Saraya had the referee distracted. Tony then hit the Storm Zero pile driver for the win. Kind of a ridiculous finish there with the ref not seeing all that spray paint in Britt's face. But
if
you know what, John?
Britt's face actually, sorry.
Yeah,
go ahead. You notice Britt's face, like there wasn't that much spray paint actually in her face. I think it got more in her hair because her face, it seemed like it barely was anything in there.
Well, it was not the worst spraying of paint or mist in the face that I saw this week. So
right.
It was bad, but it wasn't as bad as that Bianca Asuka shit on SmackDown tonight. That was horrible. That was, we're going to get to that. That was really shockingly bad. It was a massive...
They screwed that up.
It was... Yeah. Bianca, she was, not selling it at all. Like, you didn't get me.
Right.
And then she's like, a few seconds later, she's like, selling like crazy.
It's like,
because somebody told her, yeah, you got some shit on your face, you better sell. She's like, what?
I think she thought the ropes hit it, and she didn't get it. Like, I think she felt just a little bit of a breeze, but yeah, it was on her face. She got it more than Britt got it this week.
Yeah. Just Bianca with all that mist on her. Asuka sprays her with the mist. Bianca standing there like, what? You didn't get me? And then a few seconds, she's all defiant. Then a few seconds later, she's like, I guess, It
was pretty funny. Especially because one week it burns. Next week, it's whatever.
It's whatever. But then a few seconds, I guess it takes a few seconds to set in the burning.
But watch, that doesn't exist anymore. It just goes right to burning right away, I'm sure.
100%.
That doesn't exist.
They will edit that out of the video package for sure because it was a botch. It was not intended there. Bianca. She just doesn't have that wrestling sense, there's something missing. She's got a lot going for her, but once in a while she does something like that where you go, Bianca. Oh, man.
Yeah, but you learn from that,
That was bad. It was bad. Orange Cassidy. Okay. Let's stick to Dynamite here because this is just dumb. Orange Cassidy is such a goof. Why do you take him? Why does anyone take him seriously? Why, if Orange Cassidy doesn't try in his matches and he hits you with those baby punches or little kicks, that shit.
Right.
If he cares so little about his matches that he's willing to do that, why is he even a wrestler? What is it in the Orange Cassidy gimmick that made him go, I'll wrestle? Why is he a wrestler? Because he seems to not care about it. He's a champion. And he says, "Oh, I'll defend my belt in a battle royal at the pay-per-view because, whatever." Why? And then, like, why am I supposed to care about this guy who seems to not care himself? It's not for me, man. He's really not for me.
I get that. I understand that, but like I get the story too, though, where he's defeated so many people. He's gone on this long title reign, and he's at the point now where it's like this person's challenging me, this person's challenging me. Well, I'll take them all on. So now you put him in the situation where it's like more than likely he should lose this because someone defending in a battle royal usually doesn't win. So
Yeah.
I thought you'd actually be happy with this because he's more than likely losing at Double or Nothing. Finally, the title.
Maybe. Maybe not, though. Because he's going to be like the 21st entrant in the thing, and he might win.
I don't know how this whole Blackjack Battle Royal works because I think it's the whole card thing, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be the Joker, right?
Why not? He's a champion, shouldn't he be?
Well, traditionally, so far, the Joker's been their big surprise, whatever, for the show.
Like Matt Sydal. Wasn't he
Matt
a Joker?
Sydal, Leo
Rush. Oh, man. Those Jokers really worked out well. Joker may be the operative term there with Leo Rush. I mean, good God. He's more of a pariah than CM Punk is somehow. Right?
I don't know much about that, but I wouldn't be surprised because there were stories in WWE, so
yeah,
there's stories out there now.
Yikes.
Yeah, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Egos in wrestling, man.
Yeah. So what happened on Dynamite? Jericho's match was good. Jericho and Roderick Strong, they brawled all over the concourse. It was a Falls Count Anywhere match. And what I liked especially about this match, Adam Cole, of course, appeared outside and attacked Jericho and helped Strong get the win. But my favorite part about this match is that it was a Falls Count Anywhere match that actually ended outside of the ring. Like, usually these matches, like, it'll be Falls Count Anywhere, but they'll work their way back into the ring. Like, they'll brawl all over the place, but they'll work their way back into the ring, and that's usually where you see the finish. But that was not the case here. They finished the match outside the arena in some dirt.
Yeah.
I thought that was good. It was different. It was creative. The match was good. Match of the night. By far, I thought. I don't think anything else came close, really.
Well, in terms of the excitement, too, I mean, I thought you had some decent wrestling and then obviously some pretty cool action. For me, the moment of this match was when they were at the staircase and I think Strong threw Jericho over the staircase. And I'm like, oh, crap, like he's going to fall all the way down there. I didn't notice there was a bit of a ledge there at first. So I'm like, when he threw him over the stairs, I'm like, uh-oh, that's not good. Like, that's quite a bump.
Yeah.
Thankfully, there is a ledge there. But it added some extra, drama to the show that I think it needed.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good match. I also liked MJF backstage when Renee tried to interview him, but he slapped the microphone out of her hand because it seems like Darby, Sammy, and Jungle have some sort of alliance to make sure that MJF doesn't win, make sure that one of them is the champion at Double or Nothing. And MJF seems upset about that. But just the intensity there of MJF slapping the microphone out of her hand and Renee selling it, I thought was a really good moment. It really made MJF seem like a bad guy. Like, he didn't quite get physical with her, but it was physical adjacent. Like, it was kind of, borderline. He didn't hit a woman, but he hit a thing out of a woman's hand. Like, that's kind of, it's tight, man. It's a little, it's like, but I think in the context and the way they did it, it was okay. But it was a little like, ooh, okay. MJF, but, he's on that line always.
Yep. See, again, too, and people were saying the reports that, that was a shoot thing that he did. And it's like,
Oh.
I don't know about that.
And then
Like,
John Moxley beat
maybe,
him up after Dynamite because it's a whole thing now, and now Moxley and MJF can't be on the same show. And did that happen? No?
I don't imagine it happened.
Wow,
But,
imagine that.
again,
Maybe it did.
I'm sure someone,
Maybe it did.
someone will write that rumor at least.
Oh,
but
Dave Meltzer, he's reporting that it happened. Uh-oh. I'm joking.
you never know. You never know. I wouldn't put it past people.
Oh my God.
But I think for MJF, he needs moments like that. I'm not saying he needs to go spit on kids again, or throw water in their face or whatever, or tequila, whatever. He doesn't need to do that, but to keep him cutting on that edge, like you said, like to see like what he could do and like how far he's gonna push it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's got to have moments like that, and this is kind of it right here. And he didn't have to say anything. That's the beauty of it too. Just one action.
It was intense. It was something. And, it keeps him a bad guy. That's a bad guy thing to do. Speaking of bad guys, Don Callis was the main event of this show to explain himself for turning his back on Kenny Omega last week. Don says he's the real victim, that he was the one who made Kenny Omega, got him the IWGP title and the match with Jericho, and the first night with him in AEW, he won the world title, and without him, there is no Kenny. And then Kenny comes out and starts attacking the security that is there to protect Don Callis. And then the Blackpool Combat Club come out, and they start beating up on Kenny. And Moxley gets on the microphone, and he says that they are what everybody in this business pretends to be. They are the real elite of pro wrestling. Young Bucks come out with a garbage can with weapons in it, but they're limping because the Blackpool Combat Club beat them up earlier in the night, right? They got attacked.
I think it started the show, no? Did
it start the show? I thought it was midway through the show. After. Yeah, Claudio, Moxley, and Wheeler, after the Darby and Orange match, Claudio, Moxley, and Wheeler attacked the Young Bucks in the parking lot, and Moxley said that they're the only elite, and then he repeated that later on. But the Young Bucks came out. They were beat up, but not down. They had weapons. And Hangman Page came out with them. He had an eye patch on from his eye getting the screwdriver there by the Combat Club. And Hangman has a broom for the cleaner, Kenny, wrapped in barbed wire, a little nod to Kenny Omega. And then the Bucks and Kenny beat up on Wheeler, Claudio, and Moxley. And Bryan Danielson never gets physically involved in this, which I think is, I don't know how many people are noticing this, but he's always just kind of hiding. He was hiding, right? He was kind of like sneaking around trying to avoid the fight, which I think is real interesting. I like that Bryan has a different role with this group. He's kind of the leader, but he doesn't get involved. And then the Bucks, they get Wheeler Utah, and they hit him with the BTE trigger, and Hangman hits the buckshot lariat on him. And Hangman gets on the mic, and he says that they are the heart and soul and spirit of this place. They are the elite. So the elite all back together. The crowd loves it. And Hangman says, a double or nothing, it's going to be the elite versus the Blackpool Combat Club in Anarchy in the Arena. So it'll be Bryan, Moxley, Wheeler, and Claudio versus Hangman, Kenny, and the Bucks in Anarchy in the Arena, double or nothing, next Sunday, by the way. Not this coming Sunday, but 1 week from this Sunday on the 28th of May is AEW's Double or Nothing. So that's a big match announced, official. What's Anarchy in the Arena again? Is that with cages, or is that where they go all over the place?
It's where they go all over the place. You saw it last year, I think, at Double or Nothing when it was, I think, the BCC against the Jericho Appreciation Society.
Okay. I don't like that all over the place thing.
I mean, I prefer blood and guts, but maybe it's a time issue.
I like blood and guts.
Takes a long time. Blood and guts is like close to an hour long, right? 40 minutes at least, and maybe they don't want it to be that long, so.
All right. Well, Elite versus Blackpool Combat Club. First real match between the two groups. Should be good. Who do you think wins? Elite?
I mean, you'd think the Elite because they just came back together, right? And they haven't really wrestled that much, where the
Yeah.
BCC almost wrestles every week. So,
Yeah.
but the BCC didn't win the first one, so you think maybe they'll win this one? It's tough, actually.
What first one? Have they? Oh, the Anarchy in the Arena, you're saying?
Yeah, remember Jericho made Danielson tap? That was a huge thing that he beat. He made Brian tap.
I don't remember. I've chosen to wipe that from my memory, I think. It's not right.
It's not a horrible thing to lose to Chris Jericho, but
Bryan Danielson shouldn't lose to anybody ever. Wardlow versus Christian in a ladder match, official for Double or Nothing. Orange Cassidy will defend his international title in the Blackjack Battle Royal at Double or Nothing. Tony Storm versus Jamie Hayter for the AEW Women's title is likely for Double or Nothing. The Elite versus the Blackpool Combat Club, Anarchy in the Arena, is official. So that's AEW this week. It's been a tumultuous week in AEW, mostly backstage, right?
Yeah. Well, also Jericho, Adam Cole's official now too, unsanctioned match for Double or Nothing.
Unsanctioned. Okay. So some sort of violent match between Cole and Jericho. Okay. How about the WWE?
Well, I thought SmackDown was good.
SmackDown. Yeah, let's start with SmackDown. Raw was a little mid.
Oh, Raw was tough. It was really tough.
Yeah. SmackDown was good because Roman Reigns was on the show. When Roman's on the show, it's like the main character's there, so stuff happens. It's worth watching. Roman, Solo, and Heyman cut an in-ring promo to start off SmackDown. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn come out. Roman says, I wanted you guys here so you could acknowledge your tribal chief and you can drop off those tag titles and see yourselves out. And Kevin Owens drops the mic and drops the belt. He wants to fight. And Roman says, I know you just want to fight. Sami, I'll talk to you. One of my regrets is wasting my time with you, Sami Zayn. And Sami says, well, one of my regrets is not hitting you with the chair sooner. And we haven't been in the ring together since Montreal when we wrestled. And I've been waiting for months to say things to him, to say things to you, Roman Reigns. Like, he's got all these things he wants to say. But now that he's in the ring with him, he's got nothing to say. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? But he did say some things. I was like, well, I didn't really follow that, but that's okay. I kind of get it, but it was kind of like anticlimactic. He's like, I'm going to let you have it, but yeah, maybe
that's what the script said. So
that's it. It wasn't great. And then he says, Roman, your whole life, people have been telling you you're the best and you always get what you want, but at Night of Champions, you're not going to get what you want because you're not going to win the tag titles because you're actually not as good as me and Kevin Owens, and you're not even as good as the Usos, and Roman is just incredulous about this. He can't believe Sami is saying these things. Not as good as the Usos. Roman says, I took it easy on you, Sami. I gave you all these opportunities. And then the Usos jump Sami and Kevin Owens from behind and start attacking them. And Roman is like surprised by this, and he starts yelling at the Usos, saying, I didn't tell you to do that. This is my ring. You only do things on my time. I tell you what to do, and that's how it works. And then Roman gets all upset, and he goes to leave. And as he leaves, he bumps into Solo accidentally, and he kind of plays it off like, oh, shit, sorry, Solo. And he like walks away a little bit scared of Solo. And Solo kind of looks at him like, like Solo's mad a little bit. Like, he hit me.
Well, he's always like that, though.
Yeah, he always looks at everybody like that. So, but I like how Solo is because he's kind of like, he seems to want to kill everybody. You know what I mean? He's like, I'll kill my brothers. I'll kill my cousin. I'll kill anybody that steps to them. I'm ready to kill anybody. And I like that. I like Solo. I like the way he acts. And I really liked Roman. I thought Roman was fantastic. The way he sold that, the nudge with Solo, like he played it off perfectly. The promo, everything was great. Everything was great. Great character work.
The little thing that Roman did, like when he got mad and he's just like scratching on his beard, it's like you just feel the anger building up inside of him, but he's not trying to let it out too much, but it's coming out little by little.
Yeah.
And too, just like when he's getting mad at the Usos, like just the little things that he does, like so much He does just doing little things. Like, to me, there's no one better in wrestling in terms of like cutting a promo right now. He's the most entertaining guy to watch.
Yep. He's the most impactful. He's the most important. Right?
Yep.
He's the most important guy in wrestling right now. By a long shot. And that's because he's been WWE Undisputed Champion for, 1,000 days almost? Didn't Heyman say it's a 1,000-day celebration in 2 weeks?
I thought next week, but okay. Or maybe 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. Massive.
Well, it's going to happen.
Usos were backstage with Paul Heyman before their match in the main event of SmackDown tonight. Heyman told them that Roman forgives them for, jumping Sami and Kevin earlier tonight, which seems like a thing he might even want, but okay. Like, that's kind of a weird thing, right? Like, Roman is always mad at the Usos or whoever is in his group for one reason or another. And the reason tonight was you attack the guys that we hate. It's like, well, without me telling you to do it. But why not? Why not?
Well,
and that was the Usos' point. They're kind of like, why not? We hate those guys.
But he explained it. He's the quarterback. He calls the plays. You just go out there and do what you want kind of thing. Like, it's not how it works.
Okay. Well, Usos were a little bit upset that Roman wasn't going to go support them and be out there for their match. And they wound up losing the match because Kevin Owens distracted the ref. Sami knocked Jimmy off the top rope. Cheating to win. Babyface is cheating to win here. Rey Mysterio does a 619, jumps on Jay. Santos Escobar hits the splash. 1, 2, 3. Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar beat the Usos after Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn pull the old screw job. And Roman Reigns was backstage. They showed him. He wasn't happy about it, and that's how SmackDown went off the air tonight. But I thought the match itself was very good.
I thought it was good. I wouldn't say like it was very good, but I thought it was all right.
I thought
like,
Ray
to
was
me,
great.
It just felt like
Ray looked fantastic.
Yeah, Ray's always fantastic. But I just thought, no, it's the typical stuff, the usual. It's not bad, but it's just, you kind of feel like how it's going. The only thing that was really different was that, we get a little screwy finish, which isn't really that different. It's just a different way of how they do a little screwy thing. If anything, this was just to cover what happened in the main event of Raw, where Sami and Kevin got screwed over.
Right.
So now we're even.
I thought the match, though, Usos versus Rey and Santos, was the match of the night on SmackDown. Not much else there, right? I mean, look at the matches that we had.
Yeah.
We had the opening match, when we actually got to a wrestling match, was Pretty Deadly getting the win over Butch and Ridge Holland, hitting their finisher, Spilt Milk. My highlight of this was Sheamus on commentary making fun of Wade Barrett. I thought that was very good. Sheamus was excellent on commentary. At one point, Wade's like, that guy, I don't know, one of the guys in Pretty Deadly, he's like, that guy he was the face of a dating app. And then he starts saying, like, I'd like to go on that dating app. And Sheamus is like, oh, you would there, fella. Is that what your life has come to? And Wade's like, oh, and then Wade's like, oh, Sheamus, don't go there. And he's like, and Sheamus is like, you're saying this stuff yourself, fella. I mean, he's like, you're putting yourself in this. I'm just pointing it out. Sheamus was excellent. I thought Sheamus was real casual, relaxed. Sheamus tonight was the MVP of the show. Like, Roman was really good, but Sheamus killed it. I love Sheamus.
My favorite part was him getting the crowd going, like, with a chant, fight night, and like Wade getting mad because Sheamus is yelling too loud in the mic, so they feel like he's going deaf. Like, you're right. That was good stuff. The match, I have mixed feelings about the match.
Yeah.
I feel like they try too much comedy, and like some of it works, some of it doesn't. Some of it's like you're taking away from the match by doing it. Like, why? And people liked it, but I'm like, why would you have it where you're wrapped in the ropes, and then you get out of the ropes hit your tag move, but then wrap yourself back into the ropes.
Yeah.
I'm like, why?
Mm-mm.
And
Because
immediately
they
I
were
saw,
cheating. It was a double team, so he had to pretend like he wasn't cheating. That was the reason, but yeah. Mm.
see, like, I don't know about this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
some of it's okay, like some of it's all right with them being kind of like wimpy, but then they come back kind of thing. Like some of that works. It's all right with their moves, and they took a good beating at first, and they came
Yeah.
back being sneaky. Like it worked. Some of it didn't. Where I'm like, Rich Holland is huge, and you guys just moving him around like it's nothing. That didn't make a lot of sense. Butch, you could do that too. Ridge, like we saw later on the night, it was hard for the Street Profits to move Boogs. That made sense. But here, Ridge is pretty huge too, but they can just move him around like it's no problem. Like, that didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but I kind of like these
Far from it.
guys. Like,
Some things I liked.
I
I'm not
like
saying
their
it was bad.
promo. I thought their promo before the kitchen promo, like it wasn't amazing, but I was like, there's something there. They've got good hair.
Right.
They both have very good hair. They're tall. They're tall. They don't have the best physiques. Like they're not super jacked. I feel like
They're not
guys
really
with this
anything.
gimmick should be more body guys than they are. Like they should be a
Like
little
La
more.
Resistance shape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they'd get more heat if they were actually a little prettier, but I don't know if they're supposed to get heat. I think they're supposed to. No, I guess they were the heels in this match with Ridge and Butch, right?
100%.
Yeah.
100% they're healed.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Like, they seem kind of funny to me. They seem less like the heartthrobs or that type of character, like
Yeah.
and they seem more like a Zoolander-ish gimmick where they think they're really pretty, but they're kind of like funny looking guys with not the best bodies, and they're acting pretty, but they're not really. Like I think that's funnier. Just kind of overdone, ridiculous. I think that works. They have something. The thing is, this gimmick is not a heel gimmick; it's a comedy gimmick.
Well,
So
it can work as a comedy gimmick because like people don't know you right away. So right away, if you try to do anything kind of silly, like people are gonna boo you at first until they get to know you, kind of thing. Like remember
really
like
though,
Santino too. Like yeah, Santino like it didn't really work out for him until like he became like a face afterwards. Like that first little thing, people kind of hated it because it's like oh he's just a typical whatever baby face, and then he became a heel because he became kind of wimpy.
yeah.
But then people started to love him afterwards for that. So I feel like we're already at the wimpy stage with them. And then eventually people are going to catch on with them. I just feel some things work, some things don't work. Again, like some things I believe, sometimes it's like, whoa, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Again, their size and sometimes taking away from the actual psychology of wrestling for your spots, to me, like throws me out of it completely. And it's just like this is too stupid.
I think I just like seeing somebody new on SmackDown.
It is different, yeah.
It's something else.
It
It's
is
like,
new,
oh,
yeah.
this is a new gimmick, and they seem to have something going for them, and here they are on SmackDown. It's like, okay, I could get into this. Let's see where this goes. I'm not saying they're going to be my favorite tag team, but so far, I'm like, yeah, this is all right. I kind of like this. I'm okay with it. I'm not, like, mad, This is good. I want to
It
see
was
more Pretty
better.
Deadly. I think that they could be something. They got,
It
like, a
wasn't.
Tyler Breeze deal going. Prince Pretty type thing. Right?
Well, I feel they're already more over because I feel like Tyler Breeze, they never really gave him anything. Like they gave him the entrance and all that, but they never really put him over. Like I feel like he barely ever won matches.
I wrestled Jushin Thunder Liger in Japan for WWE for some reason. Come on.
And Liger went over.
Of course.
Wow.
I mean, it's Liger.
But I thought this was better than Grayson Waller. Like I thought that was an atrocious segment. I don't know what happened there. Like that just, if that was supposed to happen, that was terribly put together.
Was it supposed to happen? I mean, I think it was. It was odd. Grayson Waller has the Grayson Waller effect. It's a talk show, and AJ Styles is his guest. And he's like, yeah, we crossed paths in NXT, and, I've got a lot of respect for you, and you work real hard, and you're great, and everything. And AJ Styles talks about how he was out with an injury, and it was the longest time he'd ever been out of a ring in his whole career, which is something. And he's been training real hard because he knew there'd be a big opportunity, and he's going to win the World Heavyweight title, and he wants it more than the air that he breathes. And then Grayson Waller's like, yeah, and of course at Night of Champ, like he's all nice to AJ Styles, and then at the end he flips and he's like, and of course at Night of Champions we're going to hear a new World Heavyweight Champion. And he seems nice to AJ, like he's going to say AJ Styles, but he goes, Seth Rollins. And I'm like, yeah, okay. I knew that was coming. And then AJ doesn't even kick him. AJ does nothing. AJ just kind of looks at him and kind of says words that you can't hear because they're not mic'd up. At this point, the mics are gone, and they're just kind of staring at each other, saying some things. And then music plays. And that was it.
What the hell was that?
I don't know.
What the hell was that?
And then next week, they're like, and next week, AJ Styles will wrestle Karrion Kross on SmackDown. And I'm like, why? Why is he wrestling Karrion Kross? Should he wrestle Grayson Waller, who just disrespected him? Well, did Karrion Kross attack AJ Styles after that Grayson Waller thing? We just never saw it? What? So that happened.
I didn't get that one. That one, I guess, flew by me or something, or whatever they had with that. Their idea.
There was nothing there, I think.
It's very, very, like, that's your debut. That's very disappointing.
Mm-hmm. Asuka beat Zelina Vega with the Rings of Saturn. It was a submission move that Michael Cole called the Asuka lock, but isn't the Asuka lock more of like a rear naked choke type thing? She had one arm locked with her legs, the other arm locked with her arms. Yeah. That's a Rings of Saturn. Yeah.
Well, Cole screwed up a couple times this match. Like, there was a kick out at 1, and she's like, 2.5. And it's like, hey, can you count now, Michael? Like, is there a problem here? Like, so I think Michael had just the idea of what's supposed to happen, and then there's what actually happens. I think maybe she was actually supposed to win with that move, and then, well, for whatever reason, it didn't happen, so she changed it up. Or maybe Michael doesn't know moves. There's a surprise right there.
Yeah, I think if Michael Cole sees that move, he's like, I don't know what to call that. He didn't call it anything at first, and then he's like, Asuka lock, and I'm like, that wasn't the Asuka lock, though, right? That's not what she usually uses as the Asuka lock. That move, as far as I know, is called the Rings of Saturn.
A variation of it, but yeah. Wasn't exactly how it was, but yeah.
Basically, the Rings of Saturn, tremendous submission move invented by the great Perry Saturn. And it's actually like it's a legit hold. Like you could tap somebody with that. Like you 100%. Lock up their one arm. I mean, it's a crucifix, and then you turn it into an arm bar or a shoulder lock. You could do a lot of things to that person's arm. You don't have to just stretch it out. You could wrist lock them. I mean, when you have one of their arms, you got that back mount crucifix, you're doing good. I was working back mount crucifix escapes today at jiu-jitsu, so it's legit because in real martial arts, we use that type of stuff. So I love it. And Asuka is a real martial artist. She knows what she's doing. You could tell by the way she wrestles. She's so damn good. She beat Zelina Vega, but of course. And then she held on to the submission move after the match, and Bianca Belair came out to run her off and check on Zelina. And then Asuka was outside the ring and tried to jump in, but Bianca kind of stood there and stopped her. And then Asuka sprayed the mist, and Bianca acted like it didn't get her. And then she acted like it did get her, and we talked about it, and it was really bad. It was really bad.
There's something also I noticed, because Bianca is still the Raw Women's Champion. They did not mention that on commentary. They just said Bianca is a women's champion. Bianca coming out with her women's championship.
Huh.
So
it's still red though, right?
It's still red, and Rhea's still blue. But they just refer to them as their championships, not the actual brands, which is interesting.
I don't know why, though. Are they going to flip them or not?
I think There's just the way I'm looking at this, that they're just going to flip it, just, out of nowhere. Just suddenly, oh, well, she's the SmackDown champion, she's the Raw champion, but there won't actually be a moment. It's just,
Yeah.
it'll just happen.
They'll just do it
That's
without kind of acknowledging it, maybe, which is weird, but okay. Street Profits beat Rick Boogs and LA Knight. And then Knight got mad at Boogs after the match and hit his finisher on him. There was some sort of YouTube promo that explained why Knight and Boogs were teaming, but seemed like a waste of time. Whatever.
I thought this match was too silly, though, as well. Like, it's nice what they
I don't
try
want
to
to
do
watch.
with Boogs.
I don't want to watch the Street Profits or Rick Boogs. LA Knight I have time for, but the rest of the guys I'm like, yeah.
Well,
all right.
I felt LA was just kind of there, but he didn't really do anything. This was just to showcase what Boogs could do.
Yeah.
And it's all right, but it's also not good, too, because him doing this, like, oh, I'm going to press you. I'm just going to do a bunch of reps with the press. I'm going to do the pump handle and do reps with that. That's fine. But if you haven't put a beating on your guys, they just look really stupid if they're just in this hold and you barely done anything to them. You just caught them in the hold. They're still pretty fresh, but they just let you rep them, push them up, and that's it. They don't try to fight out. They're just stuck in these holds or just stuck in your arms. Like, when they're completely fresh,
yeah,
that looks stupid. That looked bad. But I get what they were trying to do. They try to make Boogs look good. And he looks better doing it when he's fresh like that. But they need to put more of a beating on the Profits.
Yeah. It was not good. It was not really worth our time. Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. I think those are their names. They're the NXT Women's Champions. They're on SmackDown now. They beat two jabronis. I thought that they had a lot of promise. And, that women's tag team division needs something. And maybe Dawn and Fire will be, a nice addition. Of course, tag team champions now vacant. We have no women's tag team champions. The champions have been stripped of the belts. Liv Morgan is hurt. So her and Raquel Rodriguez are no longer champions. And in 2 weeks on Raw, so not this Monday, but the following Monday, they will crown a new set of women's tag team champions. Which, why don't you just do it at Night of Champions? Doesn't that seem like a good day to do it? But, okay.
That's too booked already,
okay.
I think.
So, on Raw, the Raw after Night of Champions, it'll be, let's see, it'll be Raquel Rodriguez and a mystery partner. That mystery partner apparently is going to be Shotzi, but I don't know. So it'll be
partner, makes sense.
Ronda and Shayna versus Bailey and Io versus Sonya and Chelsea versus Raquel and somebody, possibly Shotzi. Raw in 2 weeks to determine the new women's tag team champions. But next week on SmackDown, Bailey and Io Sky have challenged Raquel Rodriguez and a mystery partner for a match. So,
okay.
If you're going to do the mystery partner gimmick and it's for Raw, why, the following Monday, right? Why would you reveal a mystery partner for Raquel on the SmackDown before?
You know what's terrible is that I'm sure people already know who it is because they're taping SmackDown now, right? So
right.
Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous to do that. And am I not mistaken here? Is Shotzi on SmackDown, not Raw?
I thought she was drafted to Raw.
Oh, was she drafted to Raw? Okay.
I don't know. I'm not sure though.
Okay, you're not sure too? I thought she got drafted to SmackDown, but I could be wrong too. But that's something to look into. To me, there's so many things we could talk about right here in terms of how it's messed up. Because going back to Raw, where they said all the matches postponed because of the injury. Now, because of the injury, it's like, oh, you have to relinquish the titles.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
It's one of the other. But now we're just changing it here. And then to the injury, they said the injury was the running boot in the corner, which Dakota Kai completely missed.
Mm-hmm.
And that you could see in the replay that they showed, she completely missed it.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Well, what I saw, if you remember back in the match, was that tag move they did, which was extremely unsafe, extremely dangerous. And if she has some sort of injury, I wouldn't be surprised it's because of that. I don't know if you remember, they did like some sort of like doomsday thing where they had to live on the shoulders,
Yeah.
and Dakota came off and did like a double knee and held the back of her head
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
fell down with. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That looked extremely dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you do that?
And Dakota's hurt too, right?
Yeah, apparently some of that too. But she's always had bad knees though, so
Mm.
running with your knees, jumping with your knees,
Yeah.
it's gonna happen, I guess.
Yeah, but Raquel beat Chelsea on Raw this week, and then Ronda Rousey returned and she kicked Raquel, and her and
Right.
Shayna were there, and she's like, "You're gonna defend those tag titles with or without Liv Morgan, and you're gonna take this beating every week until you defend your title." And that was on Raw, but then on SmackDown, it's like, "Oh yeah, Ronda's gonna get a match, and she can't defend her title. The titles are stripped." Like, it was weird how they kind of changed the story. Anyways.
Well, I'm guessing the injury to Liv is far more severe than they thought. They thought
Yeah.
Liv would just be a couple of weeks, whatever.
Yeah.
And now it's like, no, it actually might be months, more than likely, it looks like.
Yeah. I think you're right about that. I think they thought maybe Liv would be all right on Raw, but then by Friday they're like, yeah, she's hurt. As far as Raw went,
Oh, this is going to be rough. We already talked about some of it, at least.
Shinsuke beat The Miz.
I didn't mind that match, to be honest. Like, I thought it was all right. I didn't like Shinsuke, like, barely beating Miz, though. I didn't get that. Like, foot on the ropes, like, squeaked a win out, pretty much, to beat The Miz. Like, how is this supposed to make Nakamura look good? And they're like, oh, Nakamura off to a great start. Not really. Not when you can barely beat The Miz.
Yeah.
You don't look that strong starting Raw. And you lost your first match, too.
Yeah. I mean, I just don't want to watch Miz ever again. Anytime he's on the screen, I just tune out. Corey Graves interviewed Seth Rollins in a pre-taped promo thing. Seth talked about winning his first NXT title in a tournament, and how he's in this tournament and winning the World Heavyweight title and the Shield and turning on the Shield and all of that. And part 2 was coming up later on in the show. Like, ooh, great.
So, one sec, just because we're doing this World Heavyweight title because Roman Reigns can't always be there all the time, so no politics, no part-timers. Yet Seth Rollins can't be there for the build-up for this world title because he's on the movie set, which AJ mentioned tonight too. I find that very interesting. Like, the guy who complained about part-timers and politics isn't there to hype up the first ever World Heavyweight title match.
Wow.
Funny how that works, huh?
And there's rumors that AJ Styles might actually win this thing.
Because of I don't know about that, though. I think they'll still give it to Seth. But I think it's ridiculous.
It's funny. And then Seth Rollins' interview continued later on in the show. And Corey Graves, this is the interesting part of it for me, where Corey Graves mentioned, the Architect and the Monday Night Messiah, and now the Visionary, and why this Visionary character is the best version of Seth. And Seth goes on to say that this is the most authentic version of himself.
Ugh.
And this made no sense to me, because in this promo where he's talking to Corey Graves, doesn't that seem like the most authentic version of Seth Rollins? Doesn't he seem there like a human being? Where when he's doing that visionary character with the cackling and the visionary and the revolutionary and all that nonsense, doesn't that seem like a very inauthentic person? That doesn't seem like a real version of Seth Rollins. The real version of Seth Rollins wasn't cackling, wasn't going on and exaggerated. He was speaking like a normal human being to Corey Graves backstage. So that didn't really connect with me.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
It it feels like he's always putting on some sort of character. It always felt that way.
Yeah.
And like you're right with this interview, it felt like that felt more realistic to who he probably is. Where I don't think he goes around laughing all the time like a moron. Like I'm feeling
Yeah.
that doesn't work out.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and especially when he says in a promo on TV, he's like, the visionary is the most authentic version of myself, when he's speaking like a normal person right now. Like, is he the visionary there? Or is he just normal Seth? And when he goes out like in 3 weeks and he comes out and he's like, ha 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 ha, and doing all that shit, is that authentic? Because you weren't doing it when you were doing a sit-down interview with Corey Graves. Are you saying that's fake? The real you is the crazy, like, Joker thing, and the fake you is the guy who sits normally like a regular human talking to Corey Graves? I don't get it. I don't think Seth gets it either. I don't know how much thought is really put into it, but it didn't make a lot of sense to me.
Well, I'm thinking he's thinking the way he dresses, besides the cackling and all that, like the way he just like waves his arms around, like maybe that's what he actually does,
But
maybe he actually likes that.
But I don't think he actually
style.
dresses like that. Like, he dresses like that in gimmick, but in real life, like, he's
Right.
not dressing like that. That's not authentic. And that's why I don't like the gimmick, because there's nothing real human being about it. There's got to be something there, and it's just this plastic character. It's not really anything. There's no real depth to it. And then Corey Graves asked Seth, what do you think about Roman Reigns and his championship run? And then the thing ends because we have to wait till next week to hear what Seth has to say about Roman. I don't know who they think is going to tune in next week because they get to hear part 3 of the Corey Graves Seth Rollins promo, but I don't think many people are tuning in for that. Might be wrong. What else do we have on Raw here?
A Battle Royal. Remember that? That was long.
Battle Royal took forever. It was Viking Raiders, Tozawa, Corbin, Shelton, Cedric, Dexter Loomis, Massey, Mansoor, Dolph Ziggler, Chad Gable, Otis, Bronson Reed, Matt Riddle, Johnny Gargano, Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo, some guy named Zion Quinn, another guy called J.D. McDonald's, another guy called John Wagner, I think. Apollo Crews was there for some reason. Elias, Mustafa Ali, and Madcap Moss. I think they called him Riddick Moss, though. I don't know. It was a real clusterfuck of nobodies.
Yeah, well, Matt Riddle, I guess, is probably the biggest star and all that.
Yeah, and guess what? He didn't win. Mustafa Ali won, and now Mustafa Ali gets an Intercontinental title shot against Gunther at Night of Champions. Why?
I guess they felt because it's in Saudi Arabia, I guess. Give him the title shot.
Isn't he like Pakistani?
But like, didn't they always give him like a big match or something?
I don't know. I
thought he had a moment in Saudi Arabia before, so maybe this is to build on that.
But like, Mustafa Ali and Gunther, good luck. Ridiculous.
Well, it'll be fun to watch though, right? Because he's just gonna destroy him.
Mm-hmm.
So nothing wrong with that.
Well, that's the match for Night of Champions. I like Gunther a lot. We'll see. Something on SmackDown that we didn't mention. Austin Theory came out and he cut a promo, and then Sheamus came out and Bro kicked him. The crowd went nuts for Sheamus. Sheamus and Roman Reigns, I think, should happen down the road. Sheamus is very over as a babyface. He might be the next challenger for Roman. Because if you look on SmackDown and the real over babyfaces, like, Sheamus is at the top of the list. And him and Roman, I feel like we haven't seen it in a while. I know they've wrestled, but it's been a while.
When you think about it, too, the last guy to beat Roman for a championship besides Brock, that was Sheamus.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's something there. I think there's something there. Becky Lynch cut a promo on Raw talking about Trish Stratus and how she came back she thought Trish was coming to help her, but she was really there to help herself. And Becky wants a match with Trish at Night of Champions. And, yeah. And then Rhea Ripley was shown watching that promo from backstage. So they're kind of, Becky's doing her thing with Trish and Rhea's doing her thing with Natty, I guess. But they're teasing Becky and Rhea for some point in the future. You could tell like they're kind of planting the seeds. And it will be Trish versus Becky officially at Night of Champions. We were wondering last week when they'd actually do the match, and it is going to be at Night of Champions because, let's get it over with. Let's just keep it moving. Natty and Rhea Ripley had a little bit of a backstage promo, and I guess they'll wrestle at some point, maybe at Night of Champions, but that's not official.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Money in the Bank, possibly, I think.
Maybe just Raw. I mean, really? Come on.
Sure, fine. I think they'll give Natty actually a premium live event match.
I could see it being at Night of Champions, though.
I don't know. We're in a lot of matches Night of Champions. When you think about it, there's 3 main events that they're hyping already for this show.
5 matches so far official. Seth versus AJ, Cody versus Brock, Kevin and Sammy versus the Bloodline, Roman and Solo, Gunther versus Mustafa, and Bianca versus Asuka. I guess 6 with Trish and Becky.
Yeah.
6 matches. You could add a 7th.
Well, you could add a 7 and an 8, but not too many more, I don't think.
Yeah.
I feel like a tag match or something's going to be added to that. Maybe even a battle royal.
Dominic Mysterio beat Xavier Woods on Raw this week after Rhea Ripley hit Woods outside of the ring and Dominic rolled him up. So 2 weeks in a row, Woods gets cheated out of a win over Dominic Mysterio. 2 weeks in a row?
And 2 weeks in a row, Rhea pulls Dominic out of the ring right in front of the referee.
Yeah.
No DQ whatsoever. And I felt bad for Xavier. All Rhea did was give Xavier a form to the back, got thrown in the ring, and then got pinned. I'm like,
yeah.
Wow, that's it? Felt bad for Xavier for that.
Yeah, that sucked. And then he loses to Dominic Mysterio. It's like insult to injury. JD McDonald's did a backstage interview promo thing, and then he talked about stuff, and it was, and then Kathy Kelly tried to interview him backstage to get more, it was a promo package, and then she tried to do an interview, and he was not interested. And then he said, well, I attacked Dolph Ziggler earlier because he's a former champion, and I want to get guys like that. And then Finn Balor was there creeping behind him. There's talk that this guy is going to join the Judgment Day at some point because he's Irish and so is Finn, I guess.
Okay.
Whatever. I've seen this guy before. I'm not overwhelmed. I'm not I don't care. Doesn't do it. He's small and kind of nothing.
Well, I just found it weird that you put him in the Battle Royal. He loses kind of quickly.
Yeah.
And then you show the video package for him to hype him up. And it's like, well, he already lost. So it really takes away the effect. And he lost quickly. And it takes the effect that he's this person you should be fearing. He's this menace that is going to cause havoc in WWE. When he just lost within seconds. So it was really a throw off, and they tried with that promo, and that would help them a lot, I think, with Judgment Day. But I don't know. It's not a good start with a lot of these people that they're doing here.
No, it didn't work. It didn't work for me. In the share, be 2 jobbers in a squash. It's the new. It's Veer Venus, my man. And Jinder Mahal is their manager. I don't know who the other guy is, but it's a new group of 3 guys from India, and they're trying to get them over. We'll see.
I believe it's Shanga. Shanga's the other guy?
Not Shanky. They used to have a group.
Yeah. Not Shanky. No.
Shango. Papa Shango.
I believe it's a GA. No.
Papa Shanga. Okay, Cody Rhodes cut a promo this week on Raw in Greensboro, North Carolina. Home of the first Starrcade, as he mentioned, which I thought was cool. A lot of history there. Cody told the story of the scorpion and the frog and says Brock is the scorpion and it's in his nature to be the hunter. But then he says, hey, Brock, how's your face looking? If you're the hunter and you're so big and bad, look what I did to you. You got a black eye and staples, and I'm the one who did it. And Brock Lesnar, you've got all your perks because you're better than 99% of the guys in the business, but you weren't better than Cody Rhodes at Backlash. And Cody says Brock Lesnar used to be the next big thing, and now it's all about who's the real big thing on Monday Night Raw, and it's Cody, not Brock. And Brock needs to step aside because he's not the next big thing anymore. He's just in Cody's way. I mean, he's had to cut a lot of promos on Brock, and this one, he's kind of running out of material, but
yep,
he did what he needed to do. It was all right. Cody and Brock are both going to be on Raw Monday. When Brock is there, it's more impactful, but, let's get to the match.
I really just felt Cody didn't have much to say, and he tried with that story, and it's not bad. Like, Cody's good at cutting promos, but he doesn't really have much to go with, it seems, or he just didn't really have anything intriguing to really bring this story to a new level. So he needs physicality at this point, looks like. Which
we need
we'll
to just have the match. Just get to the match. Like, I think we're good. We're good. Main event was Finn Balor and Damian Priest getting the win over Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. Imperium tried to get in the ring when Sami had Finn set up for the Helluva Kick. Gunther held Sami's ankle in the corner, which just while the ref was distracted, and Finn drop-kicked Sami. Finn then hit his finisher for the win. Paul Heyman was conspiring with Imperium to get them to help Finn and Damian beat Sami and Kevin because Paul Heyman is, of course, trying to weaken Sami and Kevin for Night of Champions when the Tribal Chief and Solo Sikoa will take the tag team titles. I think Roman's going to take the tag belts at Night of Champions. I mean,
I don't think so.
It's Roman. He wins everything all the time. You really think he's going to lose a match? How does he lose? Solo doesn't lose. Roman doesn't lose.
Right.
How do they lose?
It's a great situation here. It's going to be Solo's taking the fall or whatever happens. They're going to have the match won. The Usos are going to screw up. That's how they get out of this,
I guess. But honestly, I think Sami and Kevin would be better off losing the belts.
Maybe. You could be right about that, but now that they just lost here, like, hard time believing that they're going to lose the titles now at this point. Their first match in Saudi Arabia as a team, Sami's first time being in Saudi Arabia wrestling, I don't see him losing.
We'll see. I don't see the Tribal Chief losing anything ever, but you never know. Mustafa Ali versus Gunther for the Intercontinental title set for Night of Champions. Imperium, all three of them set to wrestle Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and a mystery partner on Raw Monday. Wouldn't the mystery partner make sense being Mustafa Ali, considering he's got that match with Gunther?
They should do a promo about that, of him being like, oh, yeah, I'm obviously the guy, and then they're like, we're not going to pick you. I can see that going down.
Take Riddle instead.
Of course.
That'd be funny. Or Dolph Ziggler, or just about anybody. Becky Lynch, Trish Stratus official for Night of Champions. Rhea Ripley, Natalya, probably Night of Champions, I would say. Brock and Cody are going to be on Raw Monday night. Trish and Becky will have a contract signing on Raw Monday night. Next week on SmackDown, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will host the Kevin Owens Show with Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa as their guests for some reason. Bayley and Io Sky versus Raquel Rodriguez and a mystery partner on SmackDown next week. AJ Styles versus Karrion Kross as well. And Austin Theory defending the U.S. title against Sheamus. All next week on SmackDown. And John...
Wait a minute.
What?
Well, one...
I was trying to wrap up here, But
Yeah.
what?
I'm sorry, but there's a couple of there's just two things. One, Paul Heyman was on Raw. Wasn't he drafted to SmackDown?
Wise man can go where he wants, I guess.
Fine. Okay. Raquel Rodriguez was drafted to Raw. Why is she wrestling on SmackDown when she's not a champion right now at this point?
Yes. Accurate. I don't know.
Okay. I just, these little holes,
Yep.
just got to point them out.
Yeah. Before we go though, we have to talk about superstar Billy Graham, who we lost this week.
Of course.
The legendary superstar Billy Graham. I thought it was a nice video package they played on SmackDown for him. This guy was so influential in professional wrestling. A lot of people, I think, don't really know at this stage. Like, a lot of us do know, but a lot of people are maybe too young to have any kind of concept of superstar Billy Graham and how influential and impactful he was on so many legends. I mean, he was the first guy to be super jacked with bleach blonde hair. You know what I mean? Like, he invented the Hulk Hogan look, the Jesse the Body Ventura look, the look of every modern professional wrestler, the promos, the rhyming promos, all of that stuff. It was all superstar Billy Graham. Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Jesse Ventura, Vince McMahon, all ripped off superstar Billy Graham in a number of ways. And, the list goes on and on. Macho Man, Savage. I mean, so many guys just, were doing their best superstar Billy Graham impression, and it happened to get over in a ridiculous way. But this guy, they showed you tonight, he beat Bruno Sammartino for the WWF title, and the guy was, he was the real deal. He basically invented being super jacked and on steroids in pro wrestling, which is, pretty impressive, to be the first guy. But, T-bone steaks, barbell plates, I still quote superstar Billy Graham. So I love it. He's got so many great lines that are often repeated, and I feel like a lot of people repeat those lines and hear those lines, The man of the hour, the man with the power, too sweet to be sour, all that stuff. Like, people say it, but do they know where it comes from? Do they know that it's superstar Billy Graham? Like, he is that big that he kind of, he's got quotes and he's got things that he's done that he's influenced, and people don't even know that it comes from him half the time. He is a legend among legends. Like I said, like, revered by Dusty and Flair and Hogan. And you saw in the video package tonight, those guys talking about the greatness of superstar Billy Graham. He was like one-of-a-kind original that was copied many times over in a variety of ways. Legendary pro wrestler. And, they don't make him like superstar anymore. I mean, just the word superstar, right? WWE superstars, WWF superstars. Where do you think Vince got that from?
Yeah.
Nobody was calling themselves a superstar in professional wrestling before superstar Billy Graham. And then Vince was like, hey, pal, that's a pretty good idea. I'll call everybody a superstar.
Well, I find that a lot of people think the 80s, I think it's a fair thing to say that the 80s is the greatest era in wrestling. And there's no great era in the 80s without Billy Graham. Because you think about all the greats in that time, they all were influenced by Billy Graham.
Yeah.
So
everybody.
If you think about
everybody.
It, yeah. If you think about it, he influenced the greatest era in wrestling.
Yep. All those guys, they wouldn't be who they are without superstar Billy Graham showing them the way. Flair, Dusty, Hogan, Macho, like, those guys would not be who they became without
Scott Steiner too later on.
Everybody, man.
A lot of that.
Everybody. Yeah. Everybody. And wrestlers today, whether they know it or not, are influenced by superstar Billy Graham.
Exactly, yeah.
That's how big his influence was. That it's so huge, it's so important, it's so expansive that there are people that think that they're kind of, doing like Scott Steiner or doing like Hulk Hogan, but really the things that they're doing are what superstar Billy Graham invented that other people just kind of took. Legend. Rest in peace. Superstar Billy Graham, 79 years of age. Incredible career. Highly respected. Like I said, they don't make him like Superstar. That was a different type of pro wrestler. They had different types of pro wrestlers back then, John. It's not like the wrestlers of today, let me tell you. It is not like it is today.
One of the greatest of all time we lost.
Yeah.
It's a sad, sad week.
Yeah. And the football guy there died too, right? Another legendary sports figure. I'm blanking on his name, but you know who I'm talking about.
I'm blanking on the name,
Jim
but
Brown.
yeah, you're right.
Jim Brown.
You're right, Jim Brown, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, this guy beyond sports, right, was a very important historical figure. Jim Brown is
I remember what he was at WrestleMania
civil
2,
rights, and I mean, this guy has been in history and been an important figure for a very long time.
He was in the Battle Royal WrestleMania 2, no?
Was he?
I wouldn't be surprised if he was.
I don't know. I don't know if Jim Brown was in the WWE. The football player Jim Brown? I don't think so.
He wasn't at WrestleMania 2 in the Battle Royal? There was a couple of them in the Battle Royal.
I mean, he acted in a lot of movies. It wouldn't surprise me if he was in the thing, but I'm not sure. He did color commentary for the first 6 UFC pay-per-views.
Wow.
Yeah. And he accompanied Kanye West for his meeting with Donald Trump in 2018 while Trump was president.
Huh.
I mean, this guy, like, he's been everywhere. You know what I mean? Like, he's done so many things and been to so many places, and he was, very important during the civil rights movement in the 50s and the 60s as a prominent athlete and speaking out. Yeah. Good friend of Muhammad Ali's and everything. Like, this guy was the real deal, Jim Brown. So I'm not a football guy at all, really, but I think it's worth mentioning as well. Jim Brown, a massive star and really historical figure and a sports icon. But really beyond sport, this guy was a meaningful person to humanity as a whole. So rest in peace to Jim Brown as well. 87 years of age, passing away today.
Wow.
Very important figure in history. So big respect to Jim Brown, and of course to James Brown, of course the Godfather of Soul. You can't forget him. That guy was awesome.
20 years ago now, no?
James Brown. Huh! What?
Well, he passed away a long time ago, no?
Oh, James Brown? Yeah, James Brown's been dead for a while, I think.
Yeah.
Didn't live a clean life like Jim Brown. James Brown died in 2006 at the age of 73. Wow.
We're getting there. Not close, but we're getting there.
2006, man. It feels like James Brown didn't die that long ago. He's been dead for a long time.
No, yeah. After Eddie, yeah.
Do people know about James Brown anymore? You know what I mean? Are people still listening to James Brown? I love James Brown. I listen to James Brown all the time. Hit me!
See, that's it. I mean, I think you become so famous that you kind of said with younger generation, you probably heard it and didn't even realize you heard it.
Yeah. Yeah. Influencing people that they don't even realize are being influenced by, James Brown, right? Hit it on the one. On the 1, John. Hit it on the 1. James Brown. Tremendous. Oh, man, I love James Brown. I don't know why we're talking about James Brown now, but he was a very important historical figure, too. If you don't like listening to James Brown music, I don't know what's going on with you, but that guy was a force. I could go on all day about James Brown, but I won't. John, next match, when can people see you?
So June 4th in Laval, I have a strap match against Savage Paulson. It's going to be very, very violent.
Yeah.
4 p.m., 1000 Boulevard d'Avenir. Tickets are currently on sale. I think it's like $25. It's a big show. Biggest show of the year for Torture Chamber.
Well, I look forward to it. I think it's going to be great. I'm going to try and get down there. Before we go, you want to see some new toys? I got some new wrestling toys. You want to see some?
It's behind you, no?
Should I show the people? Well, I've got some behind me. Have you seen my Captain America, Mr. America, Hulk Hogan? I think I showed you that, right?
Yeah, I think you showed me that one, yeah. I thought you meant the new toys and the ones that are just actually behind you. There's some new ones that look like I hadn't seen before.
Is there stuff behind me you haven't seen?
The one that's on top?
What's on top? What do we
It
have?
looks like maybe like an NWO kind of thing, or...
This is nothing.
Oh, that's nothing. Okay.
This is a NWO Hogan. This is a Hollywood.
I caught the Hogan, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of Hogans. This is brand new. This is brand new. Look at that. GameStop exclusive Undertaker Paul Bearer WrestleMania 9 pin included. This is actually quite rare. People are having trouble finding this. But I got one, baby. Yeah. Got that. Got this Walmart exclusive Cody Rhodes Funko. New Cody. Huh? Had to go to Walmart in America to get this.
You got Trailer Park Boy Funko Pops now.
Oh, yeah? Yo, I saw that.
Yeah.
They're not out yet, though. I might pick those up.
Okay.
I got this. Look at that. Ooh, Undertaker. That's right. Taker. Gotta love a new Taker. Same series. Ultimate Warrior. Look at that. It's a nice warrior right there. Come on.
That's pretty good.
That's a nice warrior. But here we go, John. The peace, the resistance.
Should be Brett, probably.
Nope. Better. Better than Brett. Better than all the wrestlers. It's a Jade Cargill, baby. Come on.
I wasn't expecting that one. I'll give you that.
Come on. It's Jade. By God. My first ever Jade Cargill. This is the first, I think the only maybe Jade Cargill. There might be a couple, but this is the first one that they've ever made. And I got one because I saw it and I was like, yeah, Jade Cargill. Got the t-shirt. Now I got the action figure. My favorite. You know how much I love Jade.
It's your favorite, yeah. I'm aware.
She's so jacked, baby. I love it. She's so muscular. Oh, God. I see Jade Cargill and I just think, man, I just kind of hit the gym. She's so muscular, pal. All right. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to leave you on that note. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Shout out to Harold Schneider. You're the Super Chat leader of the night. Doug Hepburn, thank you as well for dropping a Super Chat, supporting the Ringside Report Network. If you are not a member, go to join.ringsidereport.net or donate.ringsidereport.net. $5 a month supports the Ringside Report Network, keeps us going. Shout out to everybody tuning in here tonight. Trans Am, CSL Lorne, Danny Brook, even the good old AJ was here. Wanted me to give a shout-out to Buster from St. Lazare. Shout-out to Buster. Doug Hepburn, of course, my man. Ryan Katz, Darth Gillis, and everybody else tuning in. Of course, Eagle 999 over on Rumble. I see you, Eagle. So thank you, everybody, for supporting the channel. All over the network.
Supporting the new mics. Coming in soon.
Well, not for you, but for Fred.
For Fred, yeah.
We got to get Fred a new mic. I was talking to him about it today. We're working on it. Can't be crinkly. All right. Yeah.
We did okay tonight. We survived.
I wasn't too mad.
No, you weren't too upset. I'm surprised.
It's because you don't piss me off like AJ does. AJ's just annoying, you know? I love him, but he pisses me off. You're a gentleman. You listen to me when I talk.
Got to give AJ his dues, though.
Oh, he's the man.
He's done quite well.
Oh, picking winners. Picking winners. Just doing the thing. Not coming through on a lot of the promises he makes, but that's okay. He's a good man. All right, guys.
Good at social media working, though. I have to put that over.
All right, if you say so. We'll see you all again. Well, next week's gonna be crazy, right? Are we doing we're doing Night of Champions post show, right? Saturday afternoon next week?
So far, I haven't made any of the pre-live events or pay-per-views, so wait and see. You never know what happens with me.
Okay, but probably. Tentative, we're doing that. And then
I'll probably make one.
Double or nothing on the Sunday. So, come on.
Double or nothing might be tough.
Dude!
But I think Night of Champions should work.
I need somebody for Double or Nothing. It's just going to be me after this pay-per-view, and it's going to get ugly.
You need Uncle Ben back. What happened?
I mean, I think it'll be too late for him on a Sunday night. He's got work on him in the morning on a Monday.
That makes sense.
You know?
We'll see what happens. Night of Champions is going to be in the afternoon, right?
Yeah.
That should be all right.
Maybe we grill it up.
We'll see. Maybe. If it's nice out. I mean, it's always weird weather outside.
Yeah, but I mean, if it's in the afternoon, you might as well come here and watch the show, and we'll talk about it. Maybe John will be in studio. I don't know why we're making these plans on the show. We'll do it after, okay? See ya! Thanks for watching on the Ringside Report Network.
Please join in and give your support to Ringside Report Network. We've been providing expert coverage and commentary on both pro wrestling and MMA for over 15 years. Go to ringsidereport.net/support to find out more ways to support the channel.